Dear students, today's topic is atomic models. So let us put the heading atomic models. Atomic models. Now when we want to discuss any atomic model, then what are the basic things for which we look into that model? So let us list the basic properties of model. Properties of any model. It means that what are the properties for which we look into any model. So the first is the neutrality of the charge. Neutrality of the charge of the charge in atom. Neutrality of the charge in atom. In atom. So what does it mean? It means that because we know that atom is neutral, that is the amount of positive charge is equal to amount of negative charge. So the model must be able to explain this neutrality of the charge in atom. Then second point is the stability of atom. Stability of atom. Because in the atom there is positive charge and also there is negative charge. So because of the attraction between positive and negative charge, they may collide with each other. So how one can explain the stability of the atom? So that we have to check. And then we have to check the radiation. Emitted radiation emitted by the atom. Experimentally, it is found that because of the radiation, there is line spectrum of the hydrogen atom or hydrogen-like atom. So there are many lines in the spectrum of the hydrogen or hydrogen-like atom or any other atom also. So that the model which we consider, that model must be able to explain the radiation emitted by the atom. It means that it must be able to explain the spectral line. Spectral lines. Spectral lines. So these are the basic things for which we look into any model. So in 1898, the model, first model we can say, that was the Thomson model. Given by Thomson, and he said that in his model, Thomson said that there is a sea of positive charge. There is a sea of positive charge. And electrons are embedded in positive in the sea of positive charge. So this is the Thomson model, and this model is also termed as watermelon model or plum pudding model. So in this model, he also assumed that the number of electrons are such that they can neutralize the positive charge. So he assumed that number of electrons electrons are equal to positive charge of the C. So he was able to explain the neutrality of the atom, and then he said that electrons are at rest. Electrons are at rest and they emit the radiation only when electrons vibrate about their mean position. So when electrons vibrate, when electrons vibrate about their mean position, radiation is emitted. Radiation is emitted. Radiation is emitted. So according to the Thomson model, one can explain the neutrality of the charge. One can explain the neutrality of the charge in atom, then the stability of the atom, but the radiation emitted by the atom could not be explained successfully, because according to this model, only single frequency radiation is possible. Single frequency radiation is possible. Radiation is possible. But in reality, many lines are seen in the spectrum of atom. Therefore, Thomson model was able to explain a few points of the atomic properties, but it could not successfully explain all the points, and therefore another model came into existence. So let us go to a new page, and that was the Rutherford model. So let us put the heading Rutherford model. Rutherford model. Rutherford model. So in Rutherford model, it was basically a scattering experiment. It was based on the scattering experiment. In which alpha particles were bombarded on thin gold foil. So let us first make a diagram of this. So what is the experimental condition? So let us make a diagram for the experimental condition or experimental setup of scattering. So there is a source of alpha particle. Which was radium, and it was covered by the box of lead with a small opening of the alpha particle. So this box is made of lead for the safety region, and then the alpha particle comes from the source, and there will be scatterer are the target, means it is the thin gold foil. It is thin gold foil of thickness 10 to the power minus 7 meter, very thin gold foil, and this is the incident alpha particle, and on the other side there is a screen, so alpha particles get scattered from this thin foil, and some may go into the straight line and then some may go into other direction, so this angle is the theta angle of scattering, and this is the screen. So this screen was coated with zinc sulfide, so which acts like scintillator. So when alpha particle strikes the screen, there will be some light emission. So in such type of the experiment was done by Rutherford, and which is known as alpha particle scattering experiment. So after this experiment, what he observed that, suppose there is one, let us first write the findings. He observed that most of the alpha particles goes unscattered. It means that most of the space inside the atom is empty. Inside the atom is empty. Now let us first recall the property of alpha particle. So recall the property of alpha particle. Alpha particle means it is the helium nucleus. Alpha particle is helium nucleus. So it is 2He4 nucleus. So here the number of proton is 2, number of electron is 2, and number of neutron is 2. But because it is the only nucleus, so there will be no electrons and there will be only 2 proton and 2 neutron. It is the helium nucleus. Therefore, alpha particle has charge of +2. Alpha particle has charge of +2, and it has mass equal to 4 into the mass of proton. Mass of proton is equivalent to the mass of neutron. So actually it is 2 proton and 2 neutron, but we can assume that the total mass is about 4 into the mass of the proton. So this is the property of the alpha particle. And then we have the gold foil. In the gold foil there is nucleus. So nucleus has positive charge. So most of the alpha particles goes unscattered. It means that most of the space inside the atom is empty. And then few alpha particles are scattered at a small angle, medium angle, and medium angle, and very few alpha particles, scattered in back direction, that is in the direction of the incidence, in back direction. So what are the explanations for these observations? So let us discuss the explanations for these observations. explanations for these observations. These observations are experimental observations. You can write here the experimental observations. So the first point which was conclusion, that most of the, this I have already written in the previous page, but I am writing it again. Most of the space inside the atom is empty. So this is the one conclusion, and then another is that the entire mass and charge of atom is centralized at one point known as nucleus. So this model is drastically different from the Thomson model. In Thomson model, Thomson said that there is sea of positive charge and electrons are embedded in the sea of positive charge. But here, according to Rutherford scattering experiment, it was concluded that most of the space inside the atom is empty and the entire mass and charge of atom is centralized at one point known as nucleus. So now, after Rutherford, we had the concept of nucleus and electrons. So this concept was first given by Rutherford, that there is nucleus and electrons are around the nucleus. Now let us first see the explanation for the observation, that why there is a scattering. So let us make another diagram. Suppose this is the nucleus, heavy nucleus with charge equivalent to Ze. The charge on the nucleus is Z into E, where Z is the atomic number of scatterer, and in this case it is gold foil, so Z is the atomic number of the gold. So some of the alpha particles which are far away from the nucleus. Now let us recall that there is a scattering between the positive and positive particle, because alpha particle is also positive and the nucleus is also positive. So there will be repulsion. When alpha particle will approach the nucleus, then there will be Coulomb repulsion due to the positive charge on alpha particle and also positive charge on the nucleus. So let us make a diagram that if any alpha particle goes towards the nucleus and when it approaches the nucleus, then it may deflect. Like this. At some small angle. Now if it is more near to nucleus, then it may deflect at some higher angle. If it is more near to nucleus, then it may deflect to some higher angle. And if it is towards the head-on collision, then it may go back. In the opposite direction. So these are the scattering path. So larger be the distance between alpha particle and the nucleus, then lesser be the angle of deviation or angle of scattering. Angle of scattering is this much. So this is the straight path, incidence path, and then it is scattered in this direction. So angle of scattering phi is this much. This be the angle of scattering. And here you can see that in this case angle of scattering is more. So this be the angle of scattering, and here the angle of scattering is 180 degree. 180 degree. So because of this back scattering, it was concluded that there is some heavy point containing entire mass of the atom and also having positive charge, a large positive charge, and this point is termed as nucleus. So this is the reason or the explanation for the different scattering path in Rutherford scattering experiment. Now why this happens? It happens because of the alpha particle and nucleus. There is repulsion, Coulomb repulsion between alpha particle and nucleus because both have positive charge. Now using this concept we can also find the size of nucleus. But before going into that, first let us write the scattering formula. What will be the scattering formula? So the scattering formula n phi is equal to k dash some constant and then n naught into cosec power 4 phi by 2. So this is the scattering formula for the Rutherford scattering, and here k dash is some constant, here k dash is some constant, and n phi is the number of scattered alpha particles number of scattered alpha particles per unit centimeter square on the screen. And then phi is the scattering angle, and then we have n naught. So n naught be the number of incident alpha particle per unit area of target. So that is the in general this is the formula for the scattering of alpha particle with any target. Now we can elaborate this formula little bit and we will write some more terms into this formula. So put the heading Rutherford scattering formula. Put the heading Rutherford scattering formula. So this formula is like, so let me write the formula. So it is little bit lengthy. So again we will write it as n phi is equal to z square e to the power 4 n naught n t divided by 16 pi square epsilon naught square m square v naught power 4 r square and then sine to the power 4 phi by 2. So this is the formula for the scattering. And now let us write what are the terms. So we have already mentioned the term n phi. N phi means it is the number of scattered alpha particles at an angle phi on the screen per unit centimeter square. And then Z. Z is equal to atomic number of target. Atomic number of target. And then M naught, this already we have mentioned that it is the number of incident alpha particle. Number of incident alpha particle. Number of incident alpha particle per unit area of target. Here the target is gold foil. And then small n. Small n is equal to number of atom per unit volume. Number of atom per unit volume in the target. Then small t, this be the thickness of the target. And 16 pi square epsilon naught square epsilon, you know this is the permittivity. So I am not writing this epsilon naught, or let us write it. This is the permittivity of free space. Permittivity of free space. And then M means it is the mass of alpha particle. Then V naught, this is the initial velocity of alpha particle. Then capital R, distance of target with the screen. At which scattered alpha particle hits. And then sine to the power 4 phi by 2. So we know now that phi is scattering angle. This is scattering angle. So this is basically the formula for the Rutherford scattering, and I am not going to derive this formula, but let us recall this formula as it is. Now using this formula and using Rutherford scattering experiment, one can estimate the size of the nucleus. So let us put another heading: estimation of the size of nucleus. So for this we will recall again the experiment in which if alpha particles come for head-on collision and then it returns back. So what does actually happen here? It has some initial kinetic energy, let us say half mv naught square. So this is the kinetic energy, and it is coming with this kinetic energy towards the nucleus, and when it approached the alpha particles approach the nucleus at the closest distance, then because of the Coulomb repulsion, this energy decreases continuously, and then momentarily it will come to the rest. The velocity will come to the zero, and then it will go into the backward direction. So this is the phenomena, or this is the event which is going in the Rutherford scattering for this type of head-on collision. So with this we can estimate the size of the nucleus. So at this point when it returns back, then before returning back, there momentarily its kinetic energy will become zero. So due to the conservation of energy, the whole kinetic energy changes into the potential energy, Coulomb potential energy. So what we are going to do, we will put the initial kinetic energy half mv naught square is equal to the potential energy, and let us say this be the distance r naught, where r naught is the size of the nucleus. So half mv square is equal to Coulomb potential, and Coulomb potential means it is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, and then q1 q2, so q1 is 2e, and then q2 is ze, and then divided by the distance r naught. So now we can write r naught as, using above equation, r naught is equal to, instead of 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, we can put k. So it is equal to k into 4 e square z divided by mv naught square. Now this k is 9 into 10 to the power 9, and then 4 e square means 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19, and then whole square, and then value of z. So z for atomic number for gold is 79, so put here 79, and then in denominator we have mass m means mass of the alpha particle. Mass of the alpha particle means 4 into 1.67 into 10 to the power minus 28, mass of the proton, and then v naught, the velocity. So if the alpha particle comes from the source of polonium, then its velocity is 10 to the power 7 meter per second. So I am writing here 10 to the power 7 meter per second square. And if we calculate all these factors, then the result is 4 Fermi. So this is the maximum size of nucleus. In reality, size may be less than 4 Fermi. Because we have assumed this much distance, whereas nucleus is here and the distances are not. It is very hard for the alpha particle to go up to this point. If it goes up to this point, then there will be correct estimate, but for the time being, let us say this is the size of the nucleus, that is the size is of the order of Fermi, and 1 Fermi means it is 10 to the power minus 15 meter. So using the Rutherford scattering experiment, we can also estimate the size of the nucleus. Now let us see what properties of the atom we can explain using the Rutherford model, and what are other properties which could not be explained by Rutherford model. So let us write the success of Rutherford model. So the first point is there is nucleus containing entire mass and charge of the atom. Entire mass and charge of the atom. Electrons are revolving around the nucleus around the nucleus with numbers to balance the positive charge, with the numbers to balance the positive charge of nucleus, charge of nucleus. And he also assumed that electrons may revolve in any orbit with any energy with any energy any energy. So this point was successfully explained. The neutrality and the scattering experiment and neutrality was explained by this. And because electrons are moving, therefore they can also explain little bit the stability, but further we will see that stability cannot be explained by this model. So there is problem with the stability of the Rutherford atomic model. And the distribution is not specified. So here we can also write one more point, that the distribution of electrons were not specified. Electrons are revolving because they cannot be at the rest. Electrons cannot be at the rest. If they would be at rest, then there will be attraction between the electron and the positive nucleus, and they will fall into the nucleus. Therefore they cannot be at the rest, and they should revolve around the nucleus to give the stability to the atom. Now the problem with the Rutherford model. Rutherford model. So in Rutherford model, he said that electrons are revolving in the orbit of any energy or in any orbit, and we know that any revolving electron or charged particle, revolving electron continuously emits electromagnetic radiation. So because of the emission of radiation, because of the emission of radiation, the energy of electron will continuously fall down, following lower radius path, and eventually electron will lose all its energy and fall into the nucleus, So this is the picture. Suppose this is the nucleus. This is the nucleus, and electrons will start with this orbit, and then because of the radiation its energy will decrease, so it will follow the less radius path, and then again it is continuously emitting its energy or losing its energy, so it will continuously emit energy or radiation, and then it will fall into the nucleus. So this will be the picture according to Rutherford model what he explained. Therefore this model could not be successfully explained all the properties. It was able to explain the center concept of nucleus and revolving electron, then the neutrality of the atom, but it was able to explain successfully the scattering phenomena, why there is some alpha particles go scattered at a small angle, and why some alpha particles scatter at larger angle. So this could be explained successfully by the Rutherford model, but the stability criteria could not be explained. The stability criteria could not be explained. So there is problem with the stability. Problem with the stability of atom. Stability of atom. This could not be explained by the Rutherford model. And there is one more point, that because it has no fixed orbit, it has no fixed energy, therefore let us write the fourth point. So according to Rutherford model, fourth point, according to Rutherford model, radiation of any frequency can be emitted. Any frequency can be emitted. But experimentally we observe only certain lines. Experimentally one observes certain fixed frequencies in spectrum. So this point could also be not explained by Rutherford model, that why we are observing only certain frequencies in the spectrum. According to Rutherford model, any frequency can be emitted by the atom. So if we go back, or if we recall our previous conditions of the atomic model, that what are the properties which one atomic model should explain. So in earlier the first page I said that it should be able to explain neutrality, and then stability, and the spectral lines. So any model should be able to explain these three basic properties of the atom. As Rutherford model was able to explain the neutrality, and it gave a new concept of the center nucleus and the electrons revolving around the nucleus, but it could not explain the stability of the atom and also the spectral lines which were observed experimentally. So this model was not successful, and these are the drawbacks also. So if you get questions asking the drawbacks of Rutherford model, then you have to give all these points. If you have the questions like why Rutherford model is not successful explaining all the experimental observations, then again you have to write down all these points. And now come to another model. So because Rutherford model was not able to explain all the experimental observations or the stability criteria of the atom. So a new model came, and that new model is known as Bohr atomic model. So Bohr was a scientist, Niels Bohr, and he has given his own model, which is known as Bohr's atomic model. Bohr atomic model. So in Bohr atomic model, he included the concept of quantum theory to the Rutherford atomic model. He has taken the concept of nucleus and revolving electron from Rutherford model, and then he applied, he means Bohr, he applied, or let us write Bohr applied the quantum concepts given by Planck and Einstein, So on this basis, he said that electrons may revolve only in certain fixed orbits with wide spacing having constant energy. So this was a new concept. Bohr took the concept of nucleus and revolving electron from Rutherford model, and then he applied quantum concepts to the Rutherford model, and he said that electrons cannot revolve in any orbit, but electrons may revolve only in certain fixed orbits with wide spacing having constant energy. So let us recall at this point the Rutherford model, and in Rutherford model he said that electrons may revolve in any orbit with any energy. Therefore, this is in contradiction. This point of Bohr is in contradiction with the Rutherford model, and Bohr said that electrons may revolve only in certain fixed orbits with wide spacing having constant energy, and therefore in fixed orbits electron does not radiate any energy. So because of the inclusion of this point that electrons are orbiting in fixed orbitals and they do not radiate any energy while they are in the fixed orbits, it helps in ruling out the losing of energy which was happening in the Rutherford model. What was the drawback of Rutherford model? In Rutherford model, if this is the nucleus and electrons are orbiting and they are continuously losing energy, therefore it will lose energy and finally it will go into the nucleus, it will fall into the nucleus. But now in the Bohr atomic model, there is nucleus and electrons are orbiting around the nucleus in the fixed orbit, and during revolution in this fixed orbit there is no loss in the energy. So these orbits are stationary orbits and they have the particular value of energy. So the Bohr orbits are orbits are stationary orbits. Are stationary orbits. Stationary orbits. While the Rutherford orbits are not stationary orbits, the path of orbits are always changing. But here the path is fixed and the orbits are also fixed, and each orbit has fixed energy, and therefore they can explain the stability criteria. And then next point of the Bohr atomic model is that the radiations are emitted only when electrons jump from one stationary orbit to the next stationary orbit. When electrons jump from one stationary orbit to the next stationary orbit. And the next point is the frequency of radiation is fixed. The frequency of radiation is fixed. And this depending on the selection of two orbits. So the frequency depends on the selection of two orbits, means which two orbits we are taking. Suppose the energy of one orbit is E1 and the energy of next orbit is E2, then E1 minus E2 is equal to h nu. So the nu be the frequency. If we take another two set of orbits, let us say E3, E4, then frequency will be different. So these were the points of the Bohr atomic model. Now let us put another heading: Bohr's postulates. Bohr's postulates of atomic model. So the first postulate, let us put the heading first postulate. So according to first postulate, electrons revolve around the nucleus in circular orbit with fixed energy. And whenever any particle revolves around the circular orbit, then a centripetal force is needed. So the centripetal force needed for circular motion is provided by Coulomb attraction between electron and nucleus. nucleus and nucleus. So the centripetal force mv square by r is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught into the force electrons and then Ze and divided by r square. So this is the equation for the centripetal force. So this is the first postulate. Now come to the second postulate. Bohr's second postulate. So according to this postulate, second postulate, electrons may revolve only in those orbits for which angular momentum is integer multiple of h by 2 pi. It means that mvr, which is the angular momentum, must be equal to nh by 2 pi. H is Planck constant and n is quantum number, principal quantum number. N can take value 1, 2, 3 and so on. And this n is termed as principal quantum number. So this n is principal quantum number. So these were the two postulates, first postulate and the second postulate. Now come to the third postulate of Bohr atomic model. So put the heading Bohr's third postulate. Third postulates. So in the third postulate, it was said that the radiation is emitted only when electrons jump from one orbit to another orbit. So E1 minus E2 is equal to h nu. So this is the condition. And when electrons jump from one orbit to another orbit, then the difference between the energy is given as the energy to the photon emitted, where nu is the frequency of photon. So this can also explain the stability criteria. It can explain the neutrality of the atom, and also it can explain the spectral lines. So we had three criteria to judge any atomic model, and the first was the neutrality of atom. And then second is the stability of atom. And the third is the emission or absorption of radiation. Giving the spectral lines. So these three properties are basic properties to judge any atomic model, and we have seen in our discussion that Thomson model. So today we discussed three models, three atomic model. First was the Thomson model, and then second was the Rutherford model, and third was the Bohr model. Bohr model. So these models were came into existence successively, and the first model was Thomson model. Then Rutherford gave some new concept of nucleus and revolving electron, and that concept was carried out by Bohr in his model. But Bohr also included the concept, quantum concept given by Planck and Einstein, and then he gave the quantum energy levels and quantum orbits, and then using Bohr model successfully one can explain the neutrality of atom, the stability of atom, and emission absorption of radiation, and therefore this model can explain the spectral lines of the atom, hydrogen like atom. So let us stop here, and then we will proceed further in our new lecture.